So, welcome. So, Rebekah, based in North Carolina, hopefully that's still true, is a
Yep.
mother, a mystic, and a nature lover. And here's a list of her skills. Whether she's going to share any of those today, I don't know, but she's an emotion code healer, spiritual awakening coach, angel guide, certified stone medicine practitioner, sounds amazing, and an essential oil enthusiast. And originally, she was going to talk about heart awakening through challenging relationships. So, Rebekah, welcome,
Yeah. Thank
and
you, Kev.
talk about
Thank
whatever you want to talk about.
you. Yeah, interestingly enough, today is more of about an initiation for me. Um, I was literally just listening to a song before we hopped on here, and it was like my soul literally speaking directly to me, and the words go, "You're gonna see me rise." Like all of you are witnessing me coming out of the shadows, coming out of hiding. There's so many choices that I've made, like to lead me to this now moment. And like I've questioned, am I going the right way? Like, what the heck am I doing? Like it's been really, really challenging. But if you sense in right now, there's a sense of jubilation around us that I was not anticipating, because the majority of the work that I do with others is in the deepest, darkest, like the depths. Like Kev knows, like the shamanic, like when I'm working with stone medicine, it's like a shamanic journey based in Taoism, actually, but it's like bringing stuff forward to, like, you've got to witness and see. And so it's like there's this heaviness, and my soul kind of carry those codes, that there's like just a strength and a determination, like a warrior spirit that's just like, yes, we're gonna tear down the walls, and like we're gonna save humanity, like all this. But today it's like I'm feeling a jubilation that like there's so many angels and dragons around me that are like, okay, just can you just feel the excitement? Like, can you just tap into that energy? So um typically when I'm speaking, I'm saying, like, let's connect to our breath and ground. And while all things like those are beautiful practices to do, to be in the now moment, even for those that are on replay, just to be, let what's happened previously in the day go, just be here, knowing that there are things that are coming through. And Kev, I'm sure like your previous speakers have shared this, a lot of the times it's more of an energetic transmission. The words are just to keep the mind busy so that those frequencies can come through. So I say, take what resonates and leave the rest. um I'm not going to share a lot about who I am. Essentially, I'm a dragon that has been in stasis, and myself being in stasis, not my dragon. He is very much active and has been doing his part since the beginning. But leading up until now, I have been through trial after trial after challenge after challenge. And my journey, and what I would like to share, is like this frequency of transformation, like that where we think we want to be and where our soul is actually guiding us sometimes are two very different places. And our soul is like, okay, what are we going to place on our path that is going to be that catalyst to bring about that transformation? And I'm going to touch on that. And I am going to touch on relationships, because that's, I think, something that's playing out really big in the collective. It has been actually for a couple of years. Um, but I want us to just take a moment. This is like going to seem like slightly out of the ordinary, but um, can we tap into like a childlike nature, like that inner child within us that just has curiosity for what's coming, for what we're going through, like all of us right now gathered in this room, and those that are going to be watching a replay, they're actually also like in the circle, if you will. But if we allow ourselves to just like gather in circle, like we're all gathered in circle right now, and every month that Kev does this, it's like it's these beautiful souls that come together in circle. And today I'm being asked to guide us to back to, like, a regression back to our inner child, to feel excitement, to feel curiosity, to feel like this faith that's just there. Like we're not working to trust. And, for me, that's a really big thing. I actually have a picture of me as a little girl sitting on the floor over there because I've started literally just drawing like with crayons and stuff to try and reconnect with that part of me. But that energy is really present today. If we like allow ourselves to just sing, dance, pick a flower and spin around and just know that we're guided, we're supported, that anything that's going on around us in the world, and we all know, I'm not going to go, and like you guys know, you're tapped in, what's happening in the world, but it's like our inner child comes in without all these programs and these, the beliefs haven't been like put on us. We haven't been stuffed into our box yet. And so perhaps I'm speaking to those that feel like, I'm squeezed inside of my box and I have this big giant heart and I have these big giant dreams, but like I'm sitting here and there's just no space for me. There's no space for my authentic self to shine, to be. So I don't know who that's for today, but it's here. So I'm sharing that because if we stop and think about it right now, those of us that are dragon, that are connected to the dragons, that are working with the dragons, it's really big work, right? It's so needed in the world. It's absolutely game changers. Those that are awakening to their dragon selves, connecting to that energy. It's like, yes, you're here for the awesome sauce that is going to happen to support humanity and to support Gaia, right? So we got to break out of that box. We got to break out of the beliefs and all the things that are keeping that in that little box and just connect and go like, yeah, my inner child. And some of us, there's actually trauma from our childhood. And so we don't want to go there. And that is understandable. So if that's you, just know that, I feel that I understand that I had some challenges and traumas as a child too, coming and being raised in a very, very, very strict home. I have 8 brothers and sisters, and a whole gaggle of us. And there was a lot of lack. There was a lot of scarcity. There was a lot of fear. In a very religious home where it was like, your dresses are below your knees and you don't wear fingernail polish and we didn't own a TV. Like it was just this, stay small, stay quiet, be in this little box. So part of my journey, the trials that I've had to overcome and why it's so big for me to be here today. So I'm grateful to all of you. I'm thankful to Kev because this is me literally breaking out of the mold that I was put into, the box that I was put into, and saying, oh my God, my inner child is this beautiful, curious, connected to nature. Like, there's still that, want to play with the flowers and be outside barefoot and climbing trees, just this, so connected to the elements and, the breeze and just sitting around a fire. Like the elements for me were so present as a child, if I think back, but it was like completely disconnected from that and just put into this box to be the good girl, to be quiet. And so it's so big for me to just be kind of freeing this voice of mine today. So the time is now. The time is now for me to begin sharing my voice and speaking to those that wonder, because something that came in for me 2 days ago was that some of us, even in this group, and those that are going to watch on replay, is this feeling that we should be further along. And we witness people who have spoken in the past, because I said, like, when I shared about doing this talk, I'm like, I'll be the first one to raise my hand and be like, I'm not an expert, but I'm here and I have something to share, right? So we see others sharing their light language and talking about their work with the dragons and the healings that they do with the dragons. We see like, oh, those people have got it. And I'm getting goosebumps. Kev, I hope that you will agree with me. We've all got it. Each of us, every single one of us, has our own unique abilities, our own unique set of skills, our own experiences throughout all of our lifetimes and timelines across the entire cosmos to be here in this now moment. No one is farther ahead. No one knows more than you do. They may be more devoted to their craft, right? They may cut out hours of their day to do whatever it is that they do. So like we're all right where we're supposed to be. And I can say that because I have felt that very, very deeply, like even wanting to share it today. I'm like, oh my God, these people have these big, long list of, credentials, and they've been doing this and XYZ. And I'm like, I'm just this, mom of two beautiful boys who for the past decade has been a dedicated mother and dedicated to my own healing, to my own transformation. Yes, I've worked with clients. Yes, I've had, that's been wonderful, but that has not been my primary. It has been like part of what my soul called me to do. And so when I have opportunities and it presents, then yes, I do that. But there's this shift. I think as the timelines change on the earth, many of us are going from what we have been doing to dabble in what we've been called to do, to then boom, make the big transition into what we are, like our mission. Like, what are we here for? Why are we here now? So it's like giving yourself grace from going, well, this lady or this guy, they've been doing it for 20 years. And I've been like, the dragons came in for me 3 months ago. Perfect. Perfect. That's exactly the way that it was meant to be, right? For me, I think one of the things that I wrote down, oh yeah, that was really, really interesting. I don't even know. I'm not even gonna look at my notes anymore. But one of the things for me was just trusting that where I am now is where I'm meant to be, because if 2 years ago when the dragons came in for me, and I may share a little bit about that story because it's really, really beautiful, but if my dragon had come in, my dragon self, my soul fractal, my soul aspect had come in and shared with me what my role was in the ascension of humanity and what my work as a dragon was, I would have been like, hell no, not happening, too much, peace out, y'all are crazy. I would have been like, there's no way. And I've said this before, I'm just a mom. I'm just a mom. Like I'm here to be a mom, and I'm just gonna, go for my barefoot walks and cook nutritious meals and drive my kids to soccer practice. And so had I known then, I would have been like, nope. So it's like it goes back to the inner child, this curiosity of letting the path unfold before you, this destiny path that all of us are on. They're each leading in a different direction to do different work. And so one is not better than the other, less, like we're all like that curiosity of what's next, what's next, what's next. That's what led me to remember my connection with the dragons. And so I may share that now. Because again, I have no agenda. I'm just letting it flow. So, the catalyst for me for my spiritual awakening was during COVID, in November of 2020, my family's home catching fire. And my husband was working from home. I was studying. I had actually been doing energy work and working with others, but it was like, okay, I'm gonna like begin working with clients and kind of make this my part-time job while I'm still being a mom. So I was like really in study, and I had many programs that I was in, and my two boys, one was still young enough to be in preschool, but they were all at home. So like the house is full. My mother-in-law moved in with us from Chicago, and my stepson was with us. I was like a house full of people, and everybody was just hungry all day. I don't know if you guys remember those times. It was like, it was just all about the food. So we're going through this where everyone is at home, and then our house caught fire, and I was the only one that was home when it actually caught fire, and I was guided. It was a rare occasion for me to be home alone because of all the people that were there. Then my husband's like, "We're gonna take the soccer ball." Me and the boys, so my stepson and my two boys, or our two boys, we're gonna go kick the soccer ball. And I was like, "Hallelujah, Mama's gonna get some time alone, right?" And so they're gone. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go upstairs and I'm gonna knock out some classwork." And I'm da, da, da. And it was like this voice was like, "Just go outside." I'm like, "Oh, awesome." So I go to my back patio, and we had a hammock. And so I laid in the hammock, and it was I had my headphones, and I always did this particular meditation where I was just like guided. I didn't have to do anything. It was just like I put on this music, and it was just like it allowed me to that was like one of the ways that I was supported through COVID, and the chaos was like, okay, my like 30 minutes a day where it's just me. I have my meditation on, and I'm just letting everything go. So I pick up my headphones and I put them over my ears, and then it was like, "No, just look at the sky." And I'm like, at this point, like I wasn't connected to my guides and my angels. Like I had no idea what was happening. Kev, I was just like, "What's going on?" I was like, I took them off. Literally was like, okay. And I'm sitting there, and it was like I was leaning back, and the sky was just beautiful blue. Like I live in the Carolinas. We get these gorgeous blue skies. And even though it was November, like the weather was gorgeous. And there was like a few clouds. And I just sat there and I kind of put my hands to my heart and was like, God, this is just such a beautiful day. And I started stepping into gratitude, and I was like, thank you so much for this beautiful day and this beautiful weather. Oh, and the birds and the trees. It was just like that was my meditation for the day. It was just like just to be in gratitude for the beauty that's around us that I up to that point had like totally taken for granted because of the chaos of everybody being home. It's like we detach from that, right? So I was just in this moment of just peace and beauty, and then there was smoke, and I was like, who is the crazy person who is like burning their leaves in their front yard? Like that was what came in for me, was like somebody's burning leaves and like the smoke is coming in my backyard. I was like, I need to go yell at somebody, right? And I was like, no, 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 no. It's such a beautiful day and I have time alone. Like I'm just gonna lay back. So I literally laid back for I don't know how long, just a few minutes. And then I opened my eyes and there was like a bigger billow of smoke. And I was like, oh man, I really got to go see what's going on. Like, this isn't normal. Long story short, I run up front through my house and look, and it's actually my house that's on fire. And so it was just like, I won't even go into like what happened immediately after. It was very traumatic because it was like, I'm home alone. And I was like, oh my God, that moment when they like you watching the movies and it's like, what do you go in for? So I was having one of these moments on my porch of like, what do I go in for? Like, what do I do right now? Right. It's like, obviously I make a phone call, but I was like, well, I got to call my husband too, but I got to call 911 too. But like, I got to go get the stuff too. And I'm like, well, what stuff? It's happening in like this speed and you're just like standing still. Like, I don't know what to do. But my worry was for my stepson because I wasn't actually sure that he had left with my husband. So I was just yelling for him. I needed him to come out of the house because I was afraid. But fast forward to um, now not having a home while everybody's at home doing work and school. It was like, what do we do now? So they tried to put us in a hotel, and I don't know if you've ever been in a hotel and tried to work. Um, at that time, my boys were 4 and 7. It was in a hotel room, right? And like my husband's like trying to work, and I was like, this is crazy. So we ended up doing some temporary housing, and I was just sitting there and I was like, well, if the insurance is paying for our temporary housing, like, let's just get away and we'll pick our place. And we ended up going to the mountains, about 2 hours from where we live. This beautiful little town. And I was just there in the mountains and it snowed, and we just like, it was like taking me back to this grounded place of like, I'm actually, my ears ringing right now. It was just like taking me back to, okay, like we're gonna be okay. None of the stuff matters. It wasn't a total loss. So it was like after renovations, we would be able to move back in. But because of COVID, the renovations were going at a snail's pace because it was like, well, there's not this product and this person. Like it was crazy. It was really chaotic time. But we ended up moving 7 different times before we actually got back home. And I don't know if you've ever like traveled with like bins. We had like little bins that was carrying everything with us. We would move from place to place to place to place. And for me, it started to be like an adventure. Like, okay, what do we get to explore next? Like, where do we get to go next? And we stayed on the beach for Christmas. It was freezing, but we stayed at the beach. And we ended up in Florida. If any of you have ever been in Florida in January, it's gorgeous. So it was like this really challenging thing that was giving us this big blessing. And if that wasn't like a metaphor for life, for, you know, these challenges that are placed in front of us, but it's like, look at the beauty that comes from it. So I was really tapped into, oh my gosh, we get to go swimming in the middle of the day in January, right? And it was just like it was tapping me into, wow, like there's a whole other world out here. There's a whole other way of being. And things were just I can't really put it into words. Things were just shifting for me in a way that I may never fully understand, but we were on our way back home. It was like the last week before we were going to be able to move back into our house. And we were staying in an island in Georgia. And I was going through relationship challenges. Like my relationship with my husband was really struggling during that time, which is partially why I wanted to bring that conversation into today, because everyone deals with stress differently. And it was an extremely stressful time, not only like managing the family and the finances and dealing with the insurance, but also continuing to do his work on the road without like, a stable place to be. So it was really challenging for him. And my boys are home. So if you hear yelling, they're boys. Um, it was really challenging. So our communication was breaking down and he was getting really stressed out. And so I went upstairs, and I'll remember this moment for as long as I live, but I was sitting on the bed and I was crying. I had like tears falling down my cheeks, and I was just like, this is really hard for everyone, but like the loss of my communication with my spouse while we're going through this traumatic time, I'm like, this is overload. Like, I don't know that I can take much more. Like, I'm trying to be there for my kids and like kind of be the rock, but I was kind of expecting him to be the rock, but he was just crumbling. So it was like I was just sitting there feeling hopeless. And we had I should have grabbed them, but I had someone who had mailed me a package while we were gone. And it was like a membership program that I was in, and they gave me like the gift of the month because everybody knew that I'm like just traveling all over because my house caught fire. And that was this box of cards, which just like sayings, not oracle cards, but Danielle Leporte. I don't know if I ever say her name right, but she's an author. I have her book, like How to Be Loving. Anyway, she's written some really beautiful works. And I'm sitting there and I'm just holding this. And I was like, God, please just give me a sign. Just give me a message that like that we're gonna be okay. And it wasn't like shuffling because these weren't oracle cards. It was just like I'm sitting there and a card falls out of us, like a card falls out of this deck. And I pick it up and it says, Angels are waiting for your call. And I was just like, oh, okay. Right. And but it landed inside of me, this message. And so I'm like, well, we've got got a couple days to kill. So I'm like looking on my phone. I'm like, I'm gonna listen to an audiobook. And I was guided to this audiobook by Rebekah Rosen called Spirited. And it was about how to connect with your spirit guides. And I was like, knew nothing about this. It's like, awesome. It's a curiosity. And this is where I go back to like the inner child, like the breadcrumbs that like our inner child can just go, ooh, like that's curious. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I would go for walks on the beach, and my kids would just be out playing, and I would go for walks and listen to this audiobook. And when we finally got home and got settled, and I know I'm like sharing this so fast, but there really is a point to it. So I got home, and I had an email, of course, right, Kev? Like there's always an email. There's always something that just boop drops the next little piece in. And it was a course teaching you how to connect with your angels. And it was just like, oh, that's where I get to go. And so I took the course and I started working with oracle cards, and my angels were super, super present. It was just like they were there. And like the word starseed started coming in for me, and it had actually came through while I was gone. When we were in temporary housing, that word had come through too, through someone else I was following on Facebook. So it was like, but when there's a word that pops in and it like highlights and you're just like, oh, I got to pay attention to that one. Starseed was one that I had to pay attention to. And so I connected with a beautiful friend who I had worked with. We had done some energy work for one another. And I was like, I got this starseed thing. And like, I'd like to explore, like, where do I come from? Like, this was because everything was new to me. I was literally like a kid, like, oh my God, this is so exciting. Like, what's next? And she was like, I'm not sure that I'm the right person for you, but let me refer you to Yolandi. And so she refers me to Yolandi, who's actually there in the UK, Kev. And I did a reading with Yolandi to like discover and explore my starseed origins. And we're in the session and we're sitting there, and she's trying to connect to my energy. And she's just like, there's these dark forces. She's like, I can't even connect with your energy. She's like, I'm going to breathe, dragon's breath and do this and try to get them. She's like, but you need to call in your dragon too and like breathe your fire breath. And I'm at this desk that I'm sitting at right now. I was just like, say what now? Like, what did she just say? I was like, listen, I just got okay with the fact that I could connect with angels. Because remember, growing up as a child in a Baptist home, it was like, there's Archangel Michael and there's, Jesus. It's like Archangel Gabriel. And it's like, but they were way back then. Like, it's not, everything was taboo. And so I'm sitting there like, she said, what? So we go through the whole session, and what came forward for me at that time was an incarnation with Sirius, and being here as a Syrian dragon priestess, working on the inner earth grids, or actually the womb grids of Gaia. And I'm actually getting goosies as I say that. But the work that I was doing was, the dragons and I were partnered together to work on the womb grids of Gaia. And there was these dark forces that saw the light of who I was and like the dragons, and actually took my being at that point and imprisoned me under the pyramids in Bosnia. Not everybody else thinks pyramids like Egypt, but there are actual pyramids in the area that is known as Bosnia. And so it was like at that point, it was like my voice was silenced. My light wasn't gone, but like it could not be seen, it could not be shared. And so like that was wounding then, that I've had to uncover sense of like, okay, in that carnation, it was not like me just out there shining my light, and these dark forces came, was like, oh, you're too bright, I'm going to imprison you. So we all have these, imprints of fear around sharing because of things that we experienced. But that was my very first introduction to dragons. And I tell you, I hung up from that call, and it was like my entire existence was not the same. It's really hard to put into words. And I keep looking at the clock, so I hope I'm okay because I get excited. I'm actually getting hot. But it was like it just you guys probably all remember the first time like the dragon came in from you, but it was just like, whoa. But it was my curiosity about my starseed origins that led me to the dragons. And then it was just a couple less than a few months later, and Yolandi actually emailed me and was like, I have never done this before, and it feels really creepy, but I think we're meant to work together to like explore the dragons. Okay, so I'm like type A personality. I need to know the time, the place, the length, the cost, the like every detail, and then I like, is it right for me or isn't? And I responded back. I was like, yes. I was like, no questions asked. And she was like, I don't know how long this is going to be for. I'm like, awesome. Doesn't matter. I was like, it was just like it just landed inside of me. And so we partnered together for 5 months, and I went on this journey and essentially opening up. I had no concept that this was going to come through today. So y'all just bear with me, but it was like exploring our DNA and our purpose through our DNA. And the very first strands that we started to look into on this journey, the very first strand that was open was the elemental dragons. It was like the earth dragon came in, and I was on this platform, and it was like came to me and just like kind of welcomed me back into the remembrance of the dragons, right? Like back into the lineage of the dragon priestess. And the earth dragon put his head on the platform and just like was downloading everything into me. And it still did not make any sense to me whatsoever. And then, came the air dragon, and then the fire dragon, and the water dragon. And I was like, I don't know what any of this means. Like, I'm just here for it. It feels so important. And I have no clue like how this is going to play out. And it was just like, but it was very powerful. And it was just very like, it was so aligned. Like, I've always been such a detail oriented person, but it was like, it was just there. And it was like, just one more step, just take another step. And then, this was a 5-month process, and we went through opening many strands of my DNA to see what was there. And there was many beautiful things that I'm not going to share because it takes me back to the dragon connection and allowing that to like accepting that part of me, because I still didn't understand that it was a part of me. It was just kind of like, oh, I worked with the dragons. That's beautiful. But again, I just continued to take step after step and like follow the breadcrumbs, follow the curiosity. And so tying that back into the story of the house catching fire, it was like one day I was just sitting in meditation. I was like, boom. I was like, oh my God, my spiritual awakening happened because a fire dragon decided to come in and shake up my life. And it was just this big, like, oh my God, like, did that really happen? And I'm like, yes, my house actually got fire. There wasn't like a really reasonable, well, there was an explanation, but it was like, it was the dragons that were basically starting to light up that destiny path, right? And for me, like, I still have to do the work. I still have to show up. I still have to, study and meditate and grounds and clean my channel and eat healthy. Like, I still have to do my work, but it was like each little piece was just dropped right in front of me, dropped right in front of me, dropped. And I look back and I go, as traumatic as it was like, thank you. And so it's like when we go back to the traumas and the challenges and the obstacles, then we get further down the road and we look back and we're like, wow, thank you. Thank you for that obstacle. Thank you for that challenge. Thank you for that trauma. I have so much gratitude because of who I became and the process of going through that, because we all know the only way to the other side is through, right? And I use my hands a lot. Sorry, I'm like seeing them fly all over the screen, but it's like, it's through. Like, we're standing on the riverbank and we want to be on the other side. There's no bridges. There's like, you would literally have to go 15,000 miles out of the way either way. And it's like, through, am I going to face it? Am I going to go? Do I have the courage? Like, if we could just remember right now that we are fully supported at all times, we can tap into that courage. We can tap into that strength that does not necessarily come from us, but literally comes from an entire tribe, an entire, like our ancestors and the dragons and elementals and the directions and like all that is behind us, our starseed family, our soul family behind us. It's like, I'm totally not alone. And it's like with, we don't have eyes sometimes to see, but it's like that knowing just gives us that little bit of courage. And I will tell you right now today, the only reason that I am here speaking, I shouldn't say the only reason, but I have recently connected to my soul family, and some of them are here. And some of them are going to watch on replay. But it's following that curiosity to lead you to the people, places, and experiences that you're meant to have. And right now, and Kev plays a big part of this, to connecting to my soul family, because I connected with Marlene Uman, which some of you know, in the Dragon Thunder group. And she supported me to connect with my dragon. And we're now in this group, and some of them, like I said, are here. And I've so many times like wanted to, like, I've had a podcast that's in the works for like 9 months, and I have that like publish button just seems impossible to reach, right? It's like, this fear, this like, oh my God, people are gonna think I'm crazy. But it was connecting with my soul family, like my dragon tribe, has given me this immeasurable confidence and strength to be here today. Like, and not having having a piece of paper that I haven't looked at once. It's like, it's okay. I'm just here doing my thing, because yes, I know that I have support all around me, but it's like connecting with those people who are alive, who also chose to be here now to do their work now. Connecting with those people has changed everything for me. So if you don't know who your soul tribe is, it's like, find them, call them in, set your intention. I have literally sat and just wrote a letter because I love to work with intention. So I've written a letter to my soul tribe, of which I knew not one single one of them, and was just like, I'm here and I cannot wait to connect with you. I know that you're there. And it's like, okay, I get to be authentic, right? Because how are they going to find me if I'm not being authentic? So I've struggled with that, and to some degree. And just allowing that, like, that passion that's in me, to not be afraid of how people perceive that, or that people don't judge me for being too much. That goes back to my childhood of just be quiet, be still. Like, I was a straight A student. I sang in the choir, like went to Bible school and Sunday school like 3 times a week. Like, I was that girl, right? So it's like this wild, fiery person, like, how the heck are people going to perceive her? And I'm like, awesome. I've got my soul family behind me. They're cheering me on. I've got my dragons behind me. The angels are completely surrounding me at all times. And it's like, if you can tap into that frequency and call them in, if you don't have them, that has been the biggest shift for me, is literally just connecting with it. It's just like, I felt so much confidence even today. Like, I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, my family's got me. Like, if it went totally terrible and we hung up from here and I went and sat and cried, I'm like, it's okay. Like, I could go to them and be like, man, you showed up, you did your best. We're so proud of you. Like, it didn't matter. Does that make sense? Like, it didn't matter. Like, if I just stumbled and like just fell flat on my face, it really didn't matter because I had like this foundation of my soul tribe. And so if you don't know who they are, call them in. Um, Follow what lights you up. Yep, have that. I'm not sure what else I need to share. Jeff. It's like I'm like, oh my gosh, I have no clue what I've just said. But I do have a picture here of my dragon's eye. I don't know if anybody can see that, it's kind of far. Um, that I've recently connected with. And I still at times feel like what there still is left to do is so big. And I feel so tiny. But I know because I've followed that soul calling, I've followed what has lit me up. It's like, I know it doesn't matter if I just take one more step. I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm just going to follow. I'm just going to follow. I'm just going to go. I don't know where, it's going to end up. But when you get that drop in of like, connect with that person or, you know, go to the park today. It's like, the most random things and you like run into someone or it's just like whatever it is that you get that twinge, it's like, can you allow yourself to trust that? Because when I found out about my dragon and who he is, I literally feel like like this big because I literally am this big in comparison to his size. And it felt like I am now worthy. What can they pick someone else? Like I literally had, I was like, I'm like, wait. Someone double check this. I was like, where's the small dotted line that says there's someone else's name there? Because it's not my name. And I literally kind of like backpedaled and I was like, this is just whoo, right? So it's interesting. But so I was just sitting with the grandness of him going, now what do I do? Like, how do I integrate this? I go back to that, I'm just a mom. How do I integrate that into being this giant, huge presence? And so I was sitting with that and I would just sit in meditation and I would just be curious and I kept getting connect to Kev, connect to Kev, connect to Kev. And I was just like, well, is Kevin going to be able to help me integrate with my dragon? I'm like, I don't know. What does Kev have to do with this? So I emailed Kev can agree. Like I emailed him and it was like, Kev, so I was connected with my dragon and this feels really overwhelming and I don't know what to do. I'm like, can you please help me? And so we hopped on a call. We hopped on a Zoom call. He was so gracious to listen to me. And so, knowing that my dragon is in Machu Picchu, that has been on my vision board. Like it's sitting right here for like as long, like the very first thing that went on my vision board when I started doing vision boards, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, was like, boop, there's this picture of Machu Picchu. I knew I had to be there, but it was just like an exciting thing. You don't know. Yeah, Kev. So I told Kev like he's supposed to be going this month in April, and we were hanging up, and I was like, "So, I'm so excited for you to go on your trip to Machu Picchu. I can't wait to hear about it." And Kev goes, "Well, actually, it was changed to September of this year," and it was like every little part of my body went, "What did you just say?" And I was like, "I need details. I need to know like what's going on." So he put me in touch with the woman who was leading the retreat to Peru, and her and I connected. So again, this is just following those connect to Kev. Okay, Kev connected me to Katerina. It's like boom, boom, boom. We don't know. Like I would have never in 1 million years connected with Katerina. Like it wouldn't have happened. There's so many people who lead retreats, but it was like my guidance was connect to Kev. So I was like, cool, I'm gonna talk to Kev. And I had done a reading with the beautiful soul back in December for the year ahead. I've never done that because I'm very connected. Like I can get information. I read my own cards. Like I just like but there was just like this nudge again of like, but just do it with this lady. And I'm like, I don't need it. Like I have all this within me. And I did this reading with her, long story short. So we got like 10 minutes left, but I did this reading with her and she kept saying right around your birthday, like something really beautiful is going to happen. And she repeated that multiple times during the reading. So I just, with my little pencil, like around your birthday, something beautiful is going to happen. Da, da, da. And so the dates of this Peru retreat is September the 28th is when it starts. And so when I looked at the itinerary, and I counted out the days to when we go to Machu Picchu, and I picked up my calendar and went doot, 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 doot. And it was literally like my whole world just stopped on a dime, because the day that we arrive at Machu Picchu, actually after walking on the Inca Trail, is my 44th birthday. And I was just like, I could not have planned this if I would have tried. Like literally, Kev, like seriously. It's like when we let go and let the universe just guide like our each little step, it was just like, I could not have planned it. Like, even if I would have planned a trip around my birthday, guaranteed it wasn't going to be the day that we were there. So if you take my birth year, or my 44, 4 plus 4 is 8. It's the year of 8 right now. 8 is, and this will be a whole tangent, so I won't go there, but just like if we look at the way that the soul, like in ancient Taoism, because that's like one area of my study, is it organizes itself like in 8 different sections, for lack of a better word, eight different like wormholes, like that make up all of our soul. And I was just like, 8 is soul. Wait, it's an 8 year. Wait, 4 plus 4 is 8. And I was just like, my mind, I could not wrap my head around it. And it was literally, again, I didn't know how much this was going to cost. I would just respond, Katerina, I was like, where's the deposit link? Because like, I got to go. And so it's like those yeses within our bodies, like that yes to the universe to just show up. We have no comprehension whatsoever of what is possible. And I'm going to stop on that for a second, because it feels really important to say again, we have no idea what is possible. We have no idea what is possible because we're not meant to know the whole unfolding of our path. It unfolds as, divine intelligence within us guides us to that next piece, that next step. My next step is right now. It's happening right now with you all as my witnesses. And so some of you I do not know, but you better know that I have gratitude for each and every person that is here, that is watching and replay, because this is that next step on my journey. I don't know what your next step is. It's like, what is that next step for you? And you get to explore that and just have courage to just take the random, like, okay, I got to email Kev and I'm not sure why. That connection has literally led me to be on Machu Picchu for my birthday. That is where my dragon like resides. Like Kevin will say, like the mountains are dragons, right? He is there. And it's not that I can't connect with him anywhere. I can be anywhere on the planet. And when I do, it's still like really, really big. But to be there, it's a fulfilling of a lifelong dream, but it's so much bigger than that for me. It's literally like coming home to my soul, coming home to this place that I know intimately, that I don't know intimately, right? Like my soul knows this place. And I get to go explore this place. And I guarantee you that experience will be beyond anything that I can even comprehend now, because I try to, like, I try to, like, oh my God, it's going to be, and I'm like, no, I really have no idea what it's going to be like. Like, I'm just going to let that unfold as it unfolds, But along this path to get there, I'm going to have to elicit a lot of support like for my kids and getting them back and forth to school and to soccer and cooking their meals and doing their laundry and the finances to get there. I haven't been working with clients since January of last year, because I was literally called to step back and just go within myself, go to the depths. And I will tell you, I have gone to the depths, and it has been like just transformational, exhausting, like facing all of the darkness within me, just facing it. And I know that it's not all, I know that there's more, but it was just like coming face to face with all that I did not want to face, and allowing that to be seen, to be witnessed, to transform within me. And it's like, what's the gold from this? What do I glean from that? So I'm always that curiosity of, okay, that came forward. That was really challenging. And so I'll just, in closing, touch on that relationship piece, because that has been something that's been present for years now for me, is this not being in resonance with my chosen life partner anymore because of who I have become in this transformational journey. And when I initially wrote to Kev and said, I want to talk, and it's about like this heart opening through challenges, it's because, the divine will use the challenges of our life to expand us, to grow us. And we all know this, right? When I look back at my house fire, when I look back at the death of my brother, when I look back at postpartum depression with my youngest child, when I look back at losing my career job when my oldest son was 3 weeks old, it was like, I look back and there's this timeline of like, whoa, took my job out of took my job out. And it was like, oh, whoa, I had to deal with death. And like, whoa, like my child was born, and his light coming to earth, literally his light plunged me into my darkness. His birth was another huge catalyst that plunged me into the dark night of the soul, like you could not even imagine. I had a 2-year-old. We had moved 1 month prior. I had a newborn. I was going through all this hormonal changes, and my husband had just changed jobs, forfeiting 16 weeks of paid leave. Like he got like a few days because it was over the holidays. And I'm just sitting there like in a house full of boxes and a babe and like no sleep, just like, what? This is not. I was like, oh, that was happening for me. I had to go through that dark night. I had to go through. And that was when I first started meditating. Like I had never meditated before. I've always loved to hike, but it was like someone came and sat me down and was like, Rebekah, you have permission to take care of yourself. Like these simple words that landed in my life going, oh God, like I do give everything to everybody else. And during that time, like with little kids, moms, you guys know, like that's needed sometimes. Like they're not going to survive without you caring for them, right? But it was like I was giving everything. And he sat me down and literally was like, I'm going to give you this meditation, and you just have to sit and listen to it. And I'll tell you, for about the first year of doing that meditation, this was back the end of 27, well, right around the beginning of 2018. And I would fall asleep almost every single time. Like I was just exhausted. I was just really tired. So I slept a lot when I was doing this meditation, but it was working. Like the frequencies were working on me, but it was like I was just setting time aside for myself. And so it was like each time that something traumatic has happened in my life, it has like cracked open a new part of me, right? And so this relationship challenge that I'm going through has forced me to see my relationship as and this will be something I'm actually going to do a whole video. I'm being guided right now, and I'll post it to my YouTube. So I know that those links will go out. Actually, I don't think you have it because I don't really promote it because I don't have much on there, but I really want to go deeper into this topic of relationships. But it's a vehicle. My marriage is a vehicle for me to step into higher love, like not this superficial love, but this this love that can be compassionate with holding strong boundaries and standing up for yourself and not being put down, or not like it's just, but with love, like allowing love to be that center that helps me to make decisions, that helps me to, see through eyes like, well, he's just a wounded child. And he very much is completely refusing to seek any help whatsoever. So we're reaching that completion point. And, the next time that you all hear from me, like, things will be different. Like that is a deep, deep, deep knowing. But who I have become through this process of a really, really challenging marriage with someone who I no longer have resonance with. We have no, like they say, it takes like 8 connection points for someone. Like, you enjoy going to the movies, you enjoy hiking, you have like all these connections with, like, our children is the only connection point that we have. And I know that I can still be who I need to be for my children, whether I stay or whether I go, right? So there's like this knowing, but that vehicle of the challenges, it's literally mirrored so much for me of where I'm not being true to myself, where I'm not being authentic, where I'm not walking my talk. Like, I talk love and then I get triggered and I go on the first one to like blankety blank 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 blank, and later I'm going, oh God. I'm like, I'm called to higher love, and I'm over here like cussing out my husband in the shower, right? And so it's made me go like, girl, you're not walking your talk. And it's humbled me in ways that I don't think I would have been humbled otherwise. And so, like, the heart expansion that I felt is just this breaking free of this mold, even that, I honestly feel like there's this like belief structure around what relationships are that is inverted, like that's false. And I won't go into all that. Like, I know right now my time is up, but there's a false love matrix. I'll just leave it at that so many of us have either been in or are in. And it's like transforming that, or me transforming that to go, there's a completely different way to be in relationship with someone else that is supportive, that's loving, and that is actually going to be a source of support for my destiny path. And the transformation that I go through now is rising into who I be, into my authentic self, into my power, sharing my voice so that I can now do my work and be who I came here to be, and let everything else fall away. And so that relationship is falling away, but it is in service to, my greatest and highest good. So there's a whole lot more that I could share about that, but I kind of feel complete about that. I have not followed your comments, so I apologize. I don't know, Kev, if there's any questions. I want to be mindful of the time.
Just lots of love and lots of comments in there. No real questions.
Okay.
If anyone's got any particular questions that they want to share in the comments, please do, and then I'll send them forward to Rebekah. But Rebekah, mic drop. Wow.
Oh.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you very much. Everyone, please press that reaction button and
Thank you, guys.
send Rebekah loads of love, because that was full of passion. That was you, truly your authentic self, and I think everyone will agree. It was that hour flew through. It was
I
beautiful
know,
to
because I remember looking at the clock and it was like a quarter after. I'm like, oh, I talked for 45 more minutes. And I'm here now going, oh gosh, that went really fast. But I will just close. Like, I'm so grateful. Some of you I don't know yet. Feel free to connect with me. I am not that person who is super active on social media. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it, but I'm transforming that belief that it is instead of calling it social media, a social service. So I know that in service to the divine, I'm meant to share more. So feel free to connect with me there. And yeah, just Kev, like, such a big role you've played, and you just being your authentic self and doing what you do and connecting people has yeah, so this was me showing up and just sharing my voice. So I'm so grateful. Thank you.